Hello and welcome to PSY-POD, the podcast about nothing. The podcast where we bring local people with local vibes. We are just like Koreans who don't have itsudim. Similar energy. Yes. Anyways, who do we have here? Please say hello to our local and international fans.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Dechen Wangdi. I am a writer and I like to tell stories, so not very different from what you guys do here. I also work for something called the Humans of Thimphu, which is a social project that tells stories of ordinary people in Thimphu. So yes, that's for now all the introduction.
All right, man. Let's get into some extraordinary stories from ordinary peoples. Okay, with that being said, live from Juno Studios, PSY-POD starts now. PSY-POD. Quick question. Are you guys ready for your overseas study dreams? Or are you Googling IELTS tips at 2 a.m. and panicking? Well, no need to panic because today's episode is sponsored by Chhundu Training Institute, the most legit place in Bhutan to get your international exams done properly. They're an official authorized test center for TOEFL and Pearson VUE exams, meaning secure systems, proper computers, real exam conditions, no funny business, no stress, and no drama. But wait, they don't just test you, they actually help you pass. Because at Chhundu Training Institute, you can join coaching classes for IELTS, PTE, and TOEFL, where they focus on real exam strategies, proper skill building for listening, reading, writing, and speaking, full practice tests, and personalized guidance. So you're not just guessing your way throughout the exam. Basically, if your target is serious, then your preparation should be too. So before you book your next test and go pray in Dishupul Hagang for miracles, why don't you check out Chhundu Training Institute, where you can start your study abroad journey the right way. Now, back to the episode. Alright, before we begin, a shout out as always to DOMCIIP for thank you for supporting this podcast with this hardware that we have here. That's why we sound so crisp, yes. And also a shout out to our members. So you look up right now, as you can see, the background is blue, but in post-production it'll be gone. Look up now. Now all the members are flying in your head. These are the members, our lovely supporters who live abroad. Who have joined the membership program, which is basically they support the podcast. So shout out to the members. Thank you so much for supporting. If you want to be a member, you want to be a podhead, please check the join button, which is in your side, but that is only available to those who live abroad. Or you can check the link in the description. And you get perks such as early releases, members only posts, badges, and also the gratitude of my heart. Thank you so much. And if you want to upgrade, you can also be a Podhead Pro. See, a Pro version. So just like they'll be here. So shout out to our Podhead Pros, Thundin Poops, Rapsel Hendrup, and Pema Samdrup 639. Thank you for upgrading. If you want to be a Podhead Pro again, there's somewhere around down there to upgrade. Chelasachi. Look into it, okay? Thank you. And also, if this is your first time watching this, please consider subscribing. Such episode boring do me do such then and comment, like, everything really does help the channel. So thank you so much. And what else is it then? What else? I was going to say. Yeah, okay, let's start for now. Oh yeah, background, by the way, as you can change the background anything you want. Do you have any specific theme you want the background to be? Example, we can be in a cafe or on top of a mountain. Or a mountain cafe. What would you like?
To be a little edgy. I'm just saying it, but don't take me seriously. Maybe this should be like an open space, maybe a park. Could be something from Thimphu.
Okay.
Maybe clock tower.
Okay, let's see. Thank you, editor. Let's see what you can figure out. Yeah, okay, but anyways, Humans of Thimphu, if you guys are not familiar, is like Dechen mentioned, a popular page which I actually saw on Facebook first, and it's, I think, inspired by other like similar pages, right? Humans of New York, Humans of Mumbai, and so basically it's like short mini 3-5 paragraph stories of people, interesting stories. So yeah, we'll get into that. So how did it all start? Let's get to the beginning.
Well, It's been a while. We started it back in 2020, and I actually didn't start it. It was, as you mentioned, one of your followers is Tandin Pops.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's with him.
Yeah.
Wow, what a full circle moment. Okay.
Yeah, Tandin Pop and his other friend, his name is DOMCIIP. They were these two young graduates from Sharapsi who were into photography and telling stories. And then this idea came to them and they started it. And it was in 2020, the same year that they graduated. And I also graduated the same year. And that's when I messaged them very early on, because this was something that I was really interested in. And I actually used to do that even before that, like back in 2017, I used to do these stories on my own Facebook, because back in the day, we didn't have a concept of Facebook page. So people would use their own Facebook feed and to do
post,
stories.
okay, whatever.
And then I used to blog there. And when I saw this initiative, I thought, why not,
So
join together.
So you reached out there?
I did.
Okay.
I said, and I think they got back to me in a day or two, and then we started, ever since that has been a roller coaster journey. So many stories, and we didn't think that it would get this big. Of course, it's not just three of us. We were almost 6 or 7 people in the very beginning. People, all young people with the same background as, having graduated the same year. And hopefully, trying to land a job in Thimphu. We all came from different colleges and universities, and some of them were still in school. I mean, as in colleges in the US and in Thailand. And this was a really hard time, because it was COVID, yeah. So, and also, I think for us, it was also something like we didn't realize that we could actually do this, run a platform this big simply by being where we are, because before that there was no concept of working from home or remote working. But I think we started remote working before it became a thing. Yeah, I remember spending so many hours a day sitting at home in front of a laptop, sometimes making calls to people and all that. Sometimes we would talk to people directly on the streets and all that. But then when the lockdown happened, it became full remote work, a lot of remote interviews. Internet used to be really bad back then, and all that. But through and through, we pulled it, and going strong after 6 or 5 years. Yeah.
But then she does love them, and that you used to blog before you were part of the Humans of Thimphu gang. What were your blog posts about?
So I knew that the thing is, back in 16 and 17, right? There was not a lot of videos, video content. So it was always about this written text-based content, sometimes with pictures and all that. I used to, I actually remember doing this distinct story that is, that has a funny thing too. I was back on break from college, and I was on the street of Thimphu having a thukpa in winter, which is a very popular thing, right? And then there was this person called Penjor.
Okay.
And
is that Penjor the Penjor we all know?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
And I somehow knew Penjor before that, and I used to hear, her
story. Yeah. I saw on BBS. Yeah.
And then she spoke about how, when she was a young person, she was this outrageously, adventurous person.
Okay.
And then one time she did something really big in her life, and that is to decided to become a kidney donor.
Oh, yeah.
And I really love the story. And one day I just decided, in a winter break, that I will look for this Penjor. The thing is, I don't have her number or anything, but I knew from other people that she lived somewhere in Hejo. So I did a bit of an investigative journalism there.
Okay.
I went to Hejo, asked around.
Penjor 지금 가드모 완좀. Okay.
Yeah, and I directly I didn't get to her house. I got to the house of the person who actually was the recipient of the donor, and then they, the thing is, I was trying to see if the story, how true the story was, and then it turned out that it was true, and I wrote a blog saying this was my journey. I went doing this and that, right? And also it's very interesting to see that there's a transgender person in the heart of Thimphu, going about and being a very important part of our city and all that. And then we have this story about her from her younger days, because it was extraordinary for someone to be a kidney donor, I guess. I mean, you might donate your kidney to your loved ones in times of need and all that, but she, I think, did it to a total stranger.
Oh, it's a stranger. Oh, okay.
Like more like was
acquaintance,
part of her community,
okay,
right? But like an acquaintance, yeah. And I thought this was incredible. I remember sharing about it, and then later on, the story got picked up by BBS. They were doing documentary news on that. Then some other people were also doing similar stories, because you just need to do one story, just break it for certain people to take it up and amplify it in different mediums and all that. And then I think Penjor, and then I met her and I said, like, I did the story. I didn't even meet you, actually. I never met her.
You never met her? Oh.
No, I never met her in the course of doing that story.
Wow, okay, that's interesting.
I just wrote from what I found out through that little investigative journey I went through. And then she said that I heard from so many people who read that, and the people were kind to me. They were offering words of support and all that. And this was something that I did back in the days, right? And there were a couple of other stories I did too, but it was never like a page, because I was never going to do it full time.
Okay.
Firstly, because I didn't live in Thimphu. I went to college in CST, and it was further down south in Phuntsling. So I did that, but when I graduated and came back to Thimphu, where I grew up, right, then seeing Humans of Thimphu, an initiative that was starting, and all that, and I had to reach out. Of course, I was a little nervous. I was like, why would someone let me be part of their team, right? I don't have a lot of experience and all that, but it all worked out. Soon the team grew into 6 people in the beginning.
Okay.
We were all very driven, passionate about doing this. And as we did more and more stories and saw this amazing, but like really big reactions from the public, the readers, we realized how important this can become, the potential.
Okay.
Because some of the stories we were doing were very much like hushed up topic in the society,
Okay.
a lot of stigmas and tabooed.
Okay.
And we were able to do it very sensitively. And then it became very much part of our journey there. And I stuck with it ever since. I'm still doing it, not as actively as we used to do it before. Before we were like a corporate, actually. We had a target of doing one story every day.
Okay, that's really nice. Yeah.
And oftentimes that meant that working like 8 to 9 hours a day to fulfill that,
Okay.
And also, we were not just doing it for the sake of doing it. We would really curate the story so that the best part, the most important, part gets out. We would have a small editing group to like groups for the editors, and then give each other feedbacks, right? Sometime share leads, like, and if one of us doesn't carries out an interview, and we were not in the state of writing it, then we would pass it on to the others, and so sometime it became 2 stories a day, and this was something. I don't know how we did it, but thinking back right now, it feels like a really big, like a lot of hard work went into there.
Okay. But then it looks like on time that Josh Lash did them more, a lot of like peak because you guys were all like, full of energy and all. So then how did you guys like slow down there from the 2 times a day to maybe like once a week or less than that? Like which some people had the priorities changed, everyone had to leave for studies outside, and then the team got smaller and Zaminna. Is that the situation?
Well, it's very interesting. I always ask myself, why did we slow down? Why did we, why didn't we keep up with the same passion and the pace like before? But yeah, I think our priorities change, and that is the reality, the obvious reality we couldn't escape. Some of us were, trying to. Then some of us found full-time jobs, and still then that didn't stop them from really trying to contribute and all that. It got really hard, and then life happened, and then some of us also had dreams to pursue our masters in different places, and that led to like slowing down and all that. And one time it did, we all had to take breaks. We were doing this for the 3 to 4 years non-stop, and after a while some of us got really tired, burned out. I mean, I wouldn't say burned out, because burnout would be because of doing a work that was that was not yielding any gratitude. But we were so grateful, even though so burnout was not the thing. We were equally passionate. But life happens, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. So Mapal, tell us the process. Okay, so let's say during the Uchinsugi peak days now, okay, Kara Zombe, we're going to find a story today. You're going to go to Thimphu clock tower, or I'm going to call this person because I heard of this person. Then you go there, or you guys take voice memos. How's the process of actually getting the story from the beginning to publishing?
The fun part was that our team was quite diverse, and we were always like trying to diversify the team as much as possible, because we knew that there was strength in being different and in being diverse. We had members who were, came from different ethnic, social backgrounds, and that added to a lot of richness in the work we were doing. And they had their own contacts, and then the story was evolving in their head. The idea they would share with us, and we would give each other feedbacks. And then some of them also really were passionate, and after a while the 6-member team was not enough to even do the work we were doing, so we expanded. We had others joining in, and sometimes there were college graduates who wanted to intern and then spend their school breaks in a meaningful way, and then they would bring in their own set of stories and all that. And coming back to the part of process was fairly simple. We didn't have a really big guideline as to do it, because then I believe that would mean that you would never get the stories done. It's always going to be about process. But then there were basic things like making, finding out a person. We would call scouting stories, and reaching out, and make, and then really try to convince the person. But also at the same time, it has to be based on free will. You cannot coerce, you cannot force anybody, and then also make sure that this person is also believe in the cause of storytelling. That there's a purpose in telling these stories. For example, how would you convince someone, say, who has experience of going through a lot of traumas, were survivors of violence, and came from very difficult life. You just don't tell them to share their stories, and most often they would have their skepticism. But you would really tell them that sharing the story might really help the people in a larger way. And maybe you can make society see things in a different way and be more compassionate and empathetic. And this was overall the process. And by doing that, you actually form this community of not just people who does it, but also people who are by sharing their story once with us and us posting it, they become part of our community, right? And these are the people who would actually later on find story for us without asking
okay.
them.
Oh, they're like, okay, I got interesting another person. You go check them out there.
Yeah.
And then when you after you get their story, so you guys write the story down, or do you let them speak it in their own words? Then you take it back, and then you edit what they said, or is it your version of what they told you? Because I remember how is that story which you read? My name is this, and so.
Often it's a very like a free flowing conversation. Sometimes the conversation can go on, and we don't stop people from speaking and sharing, because we have no such agenda. Like, for example, if I find this person that I want to do this story about them, so the story always starts with like, can you tell me something about your childhood? And then that really put people in this mood, right?
Okay.
Because quite often we don't think about our childhood.
Okay.
We forgot how life was like. I always like to ask people if there were people who were older than me, like what they thought Thimphu has become, or it was like before when they were kids and when they were growing up. And this is always so nice for me, because I also grew up in Thimphu, and I was born quite in the 90s, and I saw things change here. And when I reminisce on those things and then see like how every now and then there's a new building, there's a new park, right, and a new shop or a bar or a club that everybody started loving it, but then before that there was not something else, right? And in the same way, I would ask these people to sort of compare their childhood memories with how things are right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and usually this is just this kind of stories. And if someone is like really, like a senior citizen, then they would have a whole nother vision of how life was like before.
Okay. So Mappa, were you guys doing it? It was a passion project, but then how were you sustaining yourself? Did you guys get some earnings out of that? Was it like some grants or like some revenue system by having this page?
Well, I think first of all, it was never a priority. We knew we were doing it for passion, and I think earning money from there would be nice. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to earn money from your passion or a social project. It would be good to pay smaller bills and while you do it, and also so that you don't have to go hungry and all that. But we did explore that, and to some extent, I wouldn't say that we were not successful. We did manage to get some grants here and there, and some sponsorship too, because some organizations, really believed in things we were doing. They were already fans, and then they wanted us to tell a story for a certain cause, and then they were willing to support us for smaller things. And since we were doing it anyway, why not, make it a fruitful collaboration? And we did that in the beginning, and later on, it kept coming and all that, and now these sponsorships or any sort of support that were coming our way was actually really helping us go beyond what we were doing. For instance, we had this grant. It was a small grant for community-based organization, but that enabled us, like as an art team, to travel all the way to Lingji to collect stories,
nice.
and even places like Mera Saktin, to Buli and Trongsa and all that. And there was just another world out there, another world of stories that we were able to bring back, and then through our platforms, send it to the, for the societies to read and reflect, and then really understand. Yeah.
So, speaking of stories, do you remember like the first, at least the earliest one of the stories you guys started with during like the early days, Chiratoga, and then maybe you can share a little tidbit of one of those stories there.
Yes, actually, I think that the earliest stories are the one that were the most memorable.
Okay.
Because we were not sure what we were doing.
Okay.
Right?
Figuring things out, okay.
Yeah, figuring things out. And then when a story came our way and then we were working on it and we wanted people to really read it and find it impactful. So there was a lot of overthinking, a lot of overworking and all that. And when you work on something like again and again, it stays in your mind, right? Yeah. So I would always remember these stories. It's hard to like really pick one, but I could try. And I was thinking about this story for a while. So like we were not just young people who were, just telling story for the sake of telling it. We were also trying to be very professional.
Okay.
We were trying to learn from other, knowledge on journalism and rules, so that how we are doing this responsibility.
As what?
With responsibly.
Okay.
Yeah, English is hard.
Okay, anyways, go on.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then a story came our way. This was during COVID. A young 17-year-old girl has reached out and then she said that she has experienced, like a tremendous amount of bullying in school.
Okay.
All because there was this rumor going around that she was in like a pornographic video.
Okay.
And when we heard that, all of us, we've never done a story at this scale, right?
Okay.
We didn't even know if we were the right platform for her to share.
Okay.
And then we also didn't know if there would be any consequences to doing it, right? Because right now I don't think so much, but back in the days we were scared.
Okay.
We were very much scared of the society, of people who could potentially come for
and harm you,
harm you and all that.
Okay,
and then people who would disapprove and all that. And in that environment, the story came, and then she had suffered like really bad decline in her mental health.
Okay.
And all that. And this story was really important for us to do because we all knew that there was a lot of cyberbullying, a lot of people making videos, fake videos of others, and then this were destroying lives and all that. And when the story came to us, we did this interview with them. Also made sure that we were asking other media professionals. I remember reaching out to Onam Gizam, who we know is a very influential but also a very experienced journalist. And then she was also giving her, was guiding us. And then also at the end, when we broke the story, this was like, it went over the roof because the kind of engagement and the reaction and the comments we were getting on the story. I think people were also shocked that how something like that happened to a person that's that young, who's like can be anybody's relative, can be anybody's friend, and all that, and also that how a simple rumor that has no substance behind it, nothing to prove it, and if you dig deeper, we know it was fake, and the video itself was fake actually.
Okay.
Video was just something random with someone's face blurred.
Okay.
And someone just had to spread this rumor. Okay. And that it was this person, and everybody believed it. And for us, through this story, we were challenging that. Society's very nonchalant way of believing things that requires some form of skepticism and some form of questioning, and how that turned into an outright bullying and outright character killing of someone and all that. But we did receive a lot of support for that, and we were thankful because in a way the person said that through this story I want to come off clean, and I don't know the best way to do it, and we were like, thank you so much for choosing us.
Alright, interesting. But hopefully that story had a good ending. I'm sure. I hope this girl is doing better, but then got some closure or whatever the story came out with.
You saying this reminded me of something because because there's you as a storyteller, you have the option to tell a story in every possible way. And some of us, we would, we were really asking ourselves, are we just using someone's deepest pain and the trauma to get views and to sort of like make people click on it, because of course the story was about someone's really painful journey that led them to the lowest point in their life, right? But as a storyteller, we also realize that we have to give this person dignity. We should not just be focusing on that ugly, nasty part of the story. Rather, we should also shine something on the beautiful part. And we would always try to make sure there's some aspect of how they found healing, or how they came out of that and became a better person. Like this one story about a young boy for me, I realized that the entire story can be about this, or I can make this story just half of it, and half of it is how he went on to learn the valuable lessons of consent, how to treat someone in a better way, and also not to let that define his life, and not to carry that all the weight, in his life. So this was important. I would say, you have to always give people dignity. While doing sensitive stories.
But then in bed they just put on a good note. Sometimes like in memo, but at least which is very good, at least from how you guys are thinking, is you don't want to exploit their trauma for clicks and entertainment, which I think not many people would think about that. Because that's a good story, you gotta roll with it, and you don't really care about them. They're just the topic of interest, but it's going to be good for a platform. Say you can go that route just to get that clicks and get that what you call engagement. But it's nice that I think that you guys thought about how you want to portray these people. But did they come out with their own names, or were they all anonymous?
Most of them were anonymous, and it was important to suggest to them that it would be better for them to remain anonymous, because there are some consequences. There would be some things, like even though a lot of people are supporting them, and then they are empathizing, and they feel sorry, but then there could always be a few bad, folks out there who would make things hard for them, and especially if someone is underage, then it's important to give them anonymity that way. And like some people are in deep trauma, they haven't really come off their their problems and all that, and these are the people who reach out to us and they said, I want to share this story with me, and you can use my photo, anything, I don't care, and all that. And we try to not just be an interviewer, but we also try to make them understand that there are these consequences which you might think about later, when you are out of this, and you might wish that you did not show your face, and you would wish that people didn't know you and all that. And so this goes beyond just taking consent and informed consent, but you also are trying to make sure what is best for the person, right? The project is just one thing, but it's the well-being of the people who are trusting you with their stories.
Okay, very nice. So, like now you mentioned two very personal and stories of healing and a lot of trauma more. Are there any interesting stories which just it's like wow, that's a quite heartwarming or wholesome stories?
I think the problem is we Bhutanese folks, we have this issue. Like they would always come up to us and tell us like, why are you guys doing such painful, sad stories? And I'm like, it means that you're not reading all the stories. If you really look at all the stories, it's only like maybe 10% of the stories are actually sad stories. Rest of the stories are pretty heartwarming, actually.
Okay, can you share us maybe one or two of some heartwarming stories?
The recent one would be the story of everybody knows her, and I love her because she goes by the name Japan Anna.
Okay,
And I am I'm from Trashigang, and
Okay.
I grew up speaking in Sangla, and to see someone like her speaking in Sangla and then being proud of it, even though she's like cross countries, and lived abroad for many years, but then she's always proud of her
Roots.
of her roots and the language, and then she does it really well. And I was just very curious. I reached out to her and we did a story together. And she was this amazingly very positive person. It's like just the kind of people that I like to interview. And she talked about how she started like so many businesses because ultimately she realized that in Japan, people like us, coming from Bhutan, we have to really step up and all that. And then after one successful project to another, she kept going, started multiple initiatives here in Bhutan. And on top of that, she had this really successful weight loss Telegram group. It's called Mote Group. And although all of her other ventures are running successfully, but she's like very much focused on this and all that. And there's like, I think 11 or 12,000 members.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, and people have really managed to,
Nice.
yeah,
So the support groups which are more for weight loss.
in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's some interesting. That's some interesting things. Now, so it's just you writing the stories in the right now.
For now, yes. Our teams are scattered all over. They are still reaching out. They're still offering support in whichever way possible. But life is hard for them, and not just for them, but every Bhutanese who live outside Bhutan right now, and all that. So we sort of I don't expect them to have the same form of commitment as before. Right now I do have one or two people, college students, who help me get stories and all that, and that itself is like a really huge help for me and all that. And we try to keep going, and but also because now the contents have all become video, and no one goes through the Facebook feed anymore. They're just doom scrolling and going through reels, right? So in that scenario, like, I know that people, I'm not fishing, not fishing, sorry, it's the wrong word, but I'm not like attracting a lot of readers and all that. But I'm also, I also think that writing written content is important, because how much, like, I'll share you this incident that happened. It was in I was on a tour with a group of journalists in Trongsa, and we were in a village, and we were at night, in the evening we had this dinner with the local community members, and there were a lot of young people who were college graduates, but somehow they were in the villages because maybe they just graduated and all that.
Okay.
And then someone told them that I write for something called Humans of Thimphu, and even the gub of the village was someone that I've already featured.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The gub was one of the few women gubs in Bhutan.
Okay, nice.
And all that. And then the gub was also like, yes, he's Humans of Thimphu. You guys may not know, but it's very popular and all that. And then these young graduates actually came to me and then they said, like, we read Humans of Thimphu all the time.
Okay.
In fact, that's the only thing we read right these days, because many of us, we don't read books, we don't read any other things. Right? The only form of media that we consume might be videos and pictures or whatever, right?
Okay.
So that way, I feel like, in a way, we are creating this slight pocket of opportunity for people to practice get the daily reading done. Yeah.
But I also think like that, because I'm also not a very avid reader. Like, I can't remember the last time I read a book, but then I read a lot of articles online, and then there's longer comic manga. Technically reading, I'm not sure you can call that. It's a graphic novel, but before film Humans of Thimphu, I'll be like, okay, this 10 minutes I can read, or like 5 minutes of my day I can read. Whereas a book is like a commitment. Like,
True.
it sounds a little daunting, and plus everyone has like such low attention span these days. It's like can't know. So I think Humans of Thimphu actually was a good like outlet. Like 2-3 minutes, let's read. So I think it's a good way, like what you said, to like maybe incorporate reading in your daily life.
Yeah, true. I think it's a sad reality that reading, as they call it, is a dying art. And then because of so much distraction around us, we are not reading enough when we should be reading, because reading is just another ball game altogether. Like I have committed, I hope not to fail, that this year I would try to read a few amount of books, because I haven't been reading all too. And then I realized that when I try to read a book, right, because of how badly the attention span has gone down for all of us, it's very hard to read through a page, without zoning out, spacing out, and all that. But also I think reading really helps. It's we have to learn things from all different senses, and reading is one of them, right?
But maybe you guys can pivot also. You can maybe make Humans of Thimphu into like a reel and TikTok format, and make it more palatable for the Navagi audience. And also maybe another idea, I could just throw it out there. Maybe like we have so many Bhutanese who are living abroad, like you mentioned. So maybe Drukpas of Perth, Drukpas of Canberra, Drukpas of New York, and then their stories also, it'll be completely different shift also. The minute I came to Perth with dreams and a bag, and right now I'm in a casino or whatever. I think there's a lot of stories you can come
in a casino. You shouldn't be in a casino.
You shouldn't be in a casino, but I'm just giving you an example. And that'll be also interesting, because I think just as much as like most of my audience are in Australia, they watch the podcast to get connected to the home. I think the Bhutanese who are here, we want to also be connected with the groups who are outside, because we hear stories like Anzumbe, but if you like, when you bring it into like a format like how you guys have done it, then you can get an in-depth story, like not a general look, but a very personal story. Let's say, Doji, I am in Perth and I'm cleaner, and I'm making this much amount of money, and this time I got TR, but my wife, which I came with me, left me. Or I don't know. There could be a lot of stories. I think maybe something to explore. Just throwing it out there.
Really good ideas. If I'm not able to do it, someone should do it, because someone sitting in Perth or Canberra or Brisbane should really think about it, because the Bhutanese diaspora is growing, and so and with that it's this growing number of experiences that we need to share to build this community everywhere else. And I'm all for it. People should do it, and I can't wait. And I think a lot of people may not be doing something like this, but people are folks are making a lot of video blogs and sharing stories. Some of them are sharing their cooking videos from abroad. Some of them are sharing their vacation and all that. And it's one way that I like to connect with them.
Since you've interviewed so many humans of Thimphu and humans of Bhutanese all over around, like you said, Lingji and Sunomo, what is like Chigi now? If someone came here who never visited Bhutan, or you're somewhere out there and said, no, you slow, I do this, blah, 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 and told you, describe a human of Thimphu, how would you describe?
Well, I think if someone from outside Bhutan, right, someone who is not a Bhutanese, or someone who has not been to Bhutan before, has no idea, and have no reference point to really understand, then I would tell them that, first of all, it's a sad thing, it's an unfortunate thing that because of maybe how there were these stories of Bhutan going around, that people assume that we are all same, that we are all same people and all that. And although for a country of 700,000, it can be true, but in many cases it's not true. The diversity is huge. We have different cultures, we have different languages, dialects, and all that, and different practices, and different social classes, and all that. And it would be a very dangerous thing to assume that it's a monolithic society, and all that. And Yeah, I would tell them to read Humans of Thimphu.
No, I'm saying, how would you describe a human of Thimphu? Like, wait, I've never seen a human of Thimphu. If you would give me a 1-minute breakdown, whether it be a generalization of everybody, how would you describe a human of Thimphu?
That's a tough one. Because I mean,
Like,
if I can describe you, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a Humans of Thimphu would be someone who's making podcasts and is someone who, you know, has a relatively good life in Thimphu. He's content with what he has and is also looking to grow.
Yes.
And he's also driven, passionate, and all that. Maybe he has a girlfriend who he really loves and hopes to marry if she doesn't leave him for Australia. Right.
Oh yeah, that's actually a very good description of a Chiratangi human of Thimphu.
Exactly, and then we have this constant anxiety, you know, and some of us younger lots, we don't care about things that are happening around, so we don't care about the rising cost of living, or we don't care about the bad roads or and all that, and yeah, I can think quite a few, would be more than a minute.
Yeah, man, human of Thimphu. Now, I guess longer. But now living in here, like, I think the problems that we had even 4 years ago are different now. And someone, like, I think we're very similar, like we enjoy living in Thimphu, and I would assume we're both content, at least for now. But I think now I've been living in that bubble, like we said, like spotlights in the Zumbe. They news there now about slap there about it. Bhutan is, I don't want to sound very, what do you call it, pessimistic, but it seems a little sad, man. I don't know. There's a chill in the air. I don't know what it is. You know, the last time I read, the pass percentage of class 12 is all-time low, 77%. Economy is not really improved. Of course, we've got some few grants from India, more, but the way it looks like how this ESP is looking, I think only a few hundred people are going to benefit from these loans. And the kids are not speaking Dzongkha. The Dzongkha is slowly going away. Teachers are leaving. Doctors are leaving. We're hiring a lot of Indians. It seems like that's why people are, like, every time you go to Paro, you see a lot of huge families in that, the bird's eye view. And then you think, no, like, wow, the priorities, yes, no, like, money is important. But now it's become like uncompromisable. Like, I think that seems a little sad. So how do you think Thimphu looks like from the human who also lives in Thimphu?
Yeah, I think you're right. Thimphu used to be this bustling city. You know, people used to come from everywhere else. You know, just like right now we are experiencing the massive, decline and the exodus. One time it must have, other places in Bhutan, the remote areas especially, must have felt, because they were losing people to Thimphu, and we were attracting so many, immigrants, but from our own country.
Okay. Yeah. National migration, I don't know.
Yeah.
Local
rural,
migration.
Urban migration.
Rural urban migration.
Used to call it.
Yeah.
And that used to happen, and now I see that is like people are living from all over the country to go to Australia, and most notably from Thimphu, because we have more people here and all that. But having said that, I think there are also a lot of other people who choose to stay, and I think the psychological impact on their lives is huge, because their children, their relatives, their friends, when they see them leaving, right, it's always leave this huge mark and all that. Like whenever I am in the airport, the last time I was flying out I wasn't going to Australia, by the way, I was just going for a short duration, and there was for the first time I saw that the airport was full. It was a busy airport, the Poro airport.
Oh,
can you imagine?
Like recently, anyways, go on.
And then it was so sad, because and then when people have these huge luggages and then the cartoon boxes, and you can make out that they were not coming they were for a long time, right? Whereas I had a small suitcase, and I was just walking in knowing that I'll be back very soon, right? And back to the country that I love and all that. And I saw even the people who came to drop these their relatives who were leaving, right? They also looked at me, and somehow we had this little moment of locking eyes, with each other, and I'm trying to understand what they think. Do they do they feel like, everyone's leaving them, including me, who was not really leaving, right? And then do they wish to go as well, and do they feel left out and all that? And there were a lot of families that were crying, mothers who were being very emotional, and all that, and knowing that the child is not going to be back for a long time, and all that. That has really contributed to the psyche of the collective, consciousness, and all that. Some of us, I know, some of my friends have managed to move on to think about other things, which I think is really smart, because you just can't be stuck between not wanting to go to Australia and then seeing other people leave, or you could really focus on your life, your career, and if you live in Bhutan, to make sure that you have a like a happy life here, and all that. But I remember, I think there was a time it got really sad because there was articles on newspapers that said like how Thimphu, the city feels so empty, right?
Yeah, but then last year Global Peace Prayer time, I didn't feel so empty.
Yeah, that's and then that's why I think that something like Global Peace Prayer, Techu, National Day are needed, and we need to encourage them more and more, because the number of people that come out, right? It makes you feel like the opposite of what we felt before, right? And also, and it's a good way for crowds to engage, I think, and good messages to be passed on and all that. And it boosts the local economy, excuse me, right? Which we need right now, because, on top of that, I always feel like, there has to be more to life in Thimphu than just going out drinking and partying. Right?
Yeah. So all these things come to my mind. But then actually, like, I always try to feel like what are other people thinking? Sometimes I look at it and I feel like, but lost as Thomas. Like sometimes you go around, deep thoughts are coming. Like even me, like I don't really have that much time for deep thinking. But I feel like since we're not really caring about other people's problems, it doesn't seem like, Thimphu seems fun, you work on the weekdays, weekends you go out and then you relax and then go on. But then you also feel like, okay, now, how long until you can do this until you start feeling empty, And I feel like last time I went to Ambient Cafe and I was trying to get Lama Shenpen to come on the pod. I'm still waiting, okay, Lama, if you're watching. And then he's a...
Good luck, he said no to me many times.
I know,
even
more.
Having said that,
but he's like a great, I think like one of the most unsung social workers in the country.
I agree.
And I love to like I've heard so many stories about him through his people who he's helped. And basically like, I was like, Lama, like when you could describe the Bhutanese youth and Buddhist people, how would you describe them? He said, lost. They're all lost. Yeah. They're all lost. I said, I think everyone's lost. No, like if you go to Taiwan, there's someone, they're lost, but they know what they want, or they can figure it out, generally speaking. But Bhutanese, when you look at the youths, they seem lost. And we say like the sense of community, which I really still strongly believe much Bhutanese we have. But there are also many broken families. There are many people who will be raised by their uncle and aunts who don't look at them as their own child. And it's like, okay, they're Mepterura or Narura. But it's not a priority, and then they don't feel that connection and love, and then they seem lost. And also, like because so many people are going to Australia, so many kids are left here behind, be taking care of their grandfather or the grandmother, and then they're losing their connection with that parent, and they come back. Okay, you're the one who gave birth to me, but you didn't raise me for 5-6 years. I know you did it for me, going abroad and coming back. So I don't know what the word is. Melancholy, is that the word?
I don't know.
I don't know. What do you guys feel, man?
Yeah, I mean, if you know the word, comment.
But I don't want to be too negative also. Not negative, maybe that's melancholic or poignant or whatever big word I want to use, jargon. But a lot of positivity bits of Tome. But I think maybe just the winter blues. Now it's going to be less lost tomorrow. Maybe it's going to be warm and then you can feel a little bit. But yeah, I feel like like through this platform, I want to like just like how through your platform, by sharing these stories, I feel like someone could hear it and it'll resonate and it'll help them. But also like it's also sense like, oh, there's something there which it's like a dark cloud which is almost, I don't know how to explain it, man. There's like a dark cloud hovering over the city.
I think I really agree with you. And then, like just like you said, the spotlight effect, to think that you are the only one in this, right? I felt the same thing. I felt the dark cloud hover over my head, over my house, and I live alone, so it's really bad.
Okay.
You know, you don't know what to do
Okay.
and all that. But yeah, I felt that. But at the same time, I think it's really like a very collective kind of an experience, and also, I don't know, but it could be also the fact that it's winter, when it gets cold and all that, you know, you do feel slightly more gloomier than the rest, but at the same time, you know, you shouldn't also, you know, come to this conclusion very fast. If it's can be some, you know, serious mental health issues for some of us, and it's okay to, you know, recognize that and seek help. Like actually feeling, you know, depression in winter is real.
Oh,
And
really?
People
Okay.
are encouraged to seek help. You know,
Alcohol.
professional help. I don't know about that. I mean, alcohol is nice, but if possible, you know, it's not a solution to
Yeah.
all the problems.
Like I say, like if you're sad and if you want your problems to solve, alcohol kind of helps for a bit, but then it's not the solution. But then again, there's also, like, I believe in anti-venom, which basically like if a snake bites you, only way to heal you is if you take the same venom and you put another chemical dose and it's anti-venom or what. Like I read this story, like there was this lady who was trying to give up alcohol and she gave it up, but then she was only drinking because she was depressed. So she stopped, okay, for like 4 years, and then every day she was feeling a little depressed, but then she didn't resort to alcohol, so stayed strong. So after the 4th year or something, she was like, you know what, now I can't take it anymore. It's time to, you know, off myself, self-exit. So she goes home and she's like ready to, you know, hang herself or something. And she says, before I go, you know what? Let's have a drink now. Let's go. It's over. One shot. So she poured herself a whiskey shot, and after the shot, she said again, you know what? I don't think I need to kill myself today. So what I'm saying is sometimes poison can be medicine.
Sure.
But
yeah.
still, alcohol is the number one cause of death in the world. But not Bhutan. I think Bhutan, it must be up there. I think first one is stomach cancer, then second one might be
Liver cirrhosis.
Oh, maybe that one. But where was I going on? Also one other tangent. But yeah, don't do alcohol. I think it's okay. Alcohol is okay if you're using it to let loose and have fun once in a while, but not when you have problems to solve. That's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not claiming to not drink alcohol here, but I've also had my fair share of troubles, you know, just like every one of us here, right? And then the fact that, you know, culturally we are a drinking society.
And you're from the East, mother.
And I'm from the East, although my parents don't drink, and not to really, you know, fight you on this, but also I feel like it's a stereotype. You know, many people from the East don't drink. Like my parents don't drink. My sister don't drink. My brother, maybe he doesn't drink either, right?
Okay.
And all that. And many people don't drink, but then there are people who drink, and then I think people who drink are from all over. Right, and you know, some places alcohol would be really expensive, or maybe even banned because of religion and all that, and people still drink. So, and on top of that, but at the same time, I think a message that if anyone is ready to take from me is that alcohol is a little overrated. Some of us, we really abuse it. You know, don't drink it for the intended purpose. Like you said, to let loose, right? And maybe a small glass of wine should do for the evening, but maybe you take 10.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
And it gets longer. Like I think this is my diagnosis. Okay, I could be very wrong, but what I've observed, and it's messy. I think Bhutanese, we have all these issues like everyone else, like anxiousness, you know, a little depression. and what do you call panic disorders, all these mental like illnesses, but we don't really diagnose it properly, and we don't really have have a safe space to talk about this.
True.
Like I think everyone has ADHD now, but no one really thinks about that.
I have ADHD.
Yeah, I have
like
also
massive
ADHD. Yeah. But it's not as bad as like I think the because I doom scroll, but I don't doom scroll for 8 hours. I doom scroll maybe like for 30 minutes. Like whoa, take a step back. I'm getting a little there. So at least self-aware, don't worry. But what I think is like an anxiety everyone has, and we don't have a word in Zonga for anxieties.
Yeah.
So we don't like really know like same types of
Yeah.
that she was telling me like I think they say that or something.
Yeah.
So usually I think when people actually get through their problems, like just like anything else, like example like when you go to the gym, the only way you grow is when you put your body under stress, under a large amount of stress, then it's forced to grow.
Yeah.
So when we have a problem, or like when we're anxious about something, stressing us out, I think more often than not, most people choose to ignore it, distract themselves, and not confront it. Like put it somewhere locked in, and when it comes back, again it's causing them distress. So then now we resort to what we call numbing agents. And what's the most popular one? Chande. And right now, also, I think we're having a little problem with the youth, or not even the youth, like, generally speaking. And that's also a number.
True.
Like,
True.
I don't want to name names, but I know a few people who are like on it all the time. And I say, why? Like I cannot relate because I'd never like wanted to go in that space. But why? Like, just calm, relax, so much.
Yeah.
No, man. So I'm like, that went further. And it's like, you want to numb the problems. But what happens when you numb is, later on, I'm speaking this from second-hand experience because I know someone in my life who went through this, like, the anxiety, the dark thoughts, if you keep coming, but you keep trying to shrug it away because you're numbing, Sachuku will come out. And then it will be so overwhelming, you don't know what to do. And that's when I think, like, a lot of, like, problems we face in our society. So what I say is like sometimes you gotta do the uncomfortable partners. You have to say, okay, let's say I have a loan and I have not been able to pay it off for like say 3 months. I'm about to default. Instead of me being sad and trying to not think about it and drink, okay, now what are the steps I gotta do now? I cannot change what has happened, but I can change what I can do next.
True.
And then focus on it. Then I think then a lot of these things won't come down. Like even my reason, like when I drink alcohol, like I just mentioned, is like, it's to let loose. Like let's say I work Monday to Friday, damn good. I'm in a good mood. Then Friday, Saturday, maybe like be a dumbass with my friends. And the reason why I drink, I realize is, first of all, it's sometimes some problems there. I drink it, don't really think about it. Distracting more. Second thing is also like it's like your brain with there's no stimulants, when there's no numbing agents, it's logical, rational. But when you drink, that rational logic goes down and you feel relief. Because you don't have to think about all that rational and logical problems. You feel relief. There's relief, which I've recognized myself also. And then you're more prone to have fun or to laugh or to be emotional.
Rules, end up in bad places.
But then again, what people don't realize is the next day, the anxiety comes back. It comes back.
It does. I have I've been there.
So it's called anxiety. Have you heard the term? It's called hangover anxiety.
I've not heard.
Yeah, it's called anxiety, and then you also get, it's a symptom is mild depression. So like this past weekend, on Sunday, I woke up from a hangover from Saturday. And I was like, okay, whatever. Then for some reason around 4 p.m, I'm just drinking water to hydrate. Just felt sad. It was like creeping in. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I talked to my friend like another video. He's like, it's like don't worry, don't overthink. It's a symptom, side effect. It's a withdrawal symptom.
Wow.
The body is tricking you. It's like, remember when you were happy yesterday? Now feel sadness for no reason. Only way to be happy again, shame and ass. But you'd be a little vigilant when that happens. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to drink because again tomorrow I'll have the same thing. So then got better. The next day it kind of slowly goes away.
Yeah, I think I've experienced that too. I didn't just see it that way and I didn't pay much attention. But I think when you have this, excited moment because of something, right? Then there's a downfall.
Okay, go on.
Thank you. It happens never, right? Like the same way as maybe you were partying all night and then and then you felt the happiest, the most free, and then you thought you really, knew how to dance, although you're not a good dancer in your life, right? And then the next day is this, dipping of energy,
the crash,
and then and all that, which is unavoidable, but maybe it's unavoidable if you don't drink.
Yeah. But I think avoiding is one thing, which is really, which I think because last year, just respond. Okay. Because I'm a little bit, I won't say self-aware, but I've researched, so I could okay, I'm feeling this because of that. I can make sense of it. No, it's I can deal with it with my body. Last year also, I said I'm gonna go on this 3-month cleanse just to see my body how it reacts, because I watched this video from John Mayer. So John Mayer was this huge alcoholic, and one night on one party he blacked out and made a fool of himself. So he gave him a wake-up call, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna start trying to be sober now. So what happens is he was always chasing those highs. He was always chasing those highs, but with those highs, just like I explained, the lows came. So when you don't drink more, you just stay here, and it's boring, and you never get here, and you're thinking about here, but you never go down also. So sometimes later on, if you stay here in a period of time, then you get the natural high, and you stay there, you never crash, and that is more fulfilling than the highs and the lows. But on another note, it's also like the story I told you about this lady who wanted to completely detox, and then one day she realized, maybe you need a little sometimes in your life. It's like how you look at Buddha, Buddha during his journey of the truth, he was starving himself with the Brahmins and the sadhus. He was praying and dying, and then one lady offered him I think rice. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
But it was a bowl of butter.
Okay, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
okay.
From 500 cows or something.
Okay, and then he just took a little bit, and that nourishment will give him enough energy. So that's also middle path, was it?
True.
I feel even if I drink 30 glasses of water, I'm going to get overhydrated and I'm going to feel a little bad. If I drink 17 cups of coffee, I'm going to die. If I if I only study all the time, my brain is going to hurt. I think everything with overdoing it is bad. Anything with moderation is fine also.
Yeah, I think moderation is fine.
But it's hard to recognize what they.
Recognize what is a moderation.
Right.
For some people, 10 cups a cup of coffee might be moderation, but maybe the science say it's not. I used to drink a lot of coffee because I used to be obsessed with trying to stay awake and then get things done. Now I'm if my brain is not working, then I know coffee is not the solution. I just have to stop and probably face the consequences of not delivering the work on time, and on all that. And if I have a busy schedule, if I have to be somewhere else, right? And still, and all that. There's no use stressing about something, because this was something that someone told me, that deadlines are meant to be, violated. Yeah, there's a deadline only to be violated, right? If you have to deliver something on a set date, some work or submit something, and then you're not able to do it, then you're just supposed to violate it. Of course, it's not going to work in the context of many things, but it's okay to ask for extension. It's okay to explain why you're not couldn't do it, and not able to submit it, and all that, and all that. You are eventually going to submit or do the work, right? So, yeah, and I think moderation is something that I really believe in. Anything in extremity is not good, and who else better than Buddha, who taught us, right?
Exactly, man. And another thing I'll tell you, another reason why I think people turn to alcohol is the most popular one. What do you think it is?
I have a few guesses, but I'll hold on.
Heartbreak there. Devdas, Kabir Singh. Internal wounds.
Devdas. It's my favorite movie.
Yeah. Okay, but then we all know the story of Devdas, my heartbreak. And I saw some, again, TikTok reel, something. See, even poison can be medicine. I doom scroll for 3 hours, it's going to be poison. But sometimes 10, 15 minutes, I get really interesting, TikToks and reels. this is funny like phenomena. We feel like, let's say when you're single, no girl wants to look at you, but when you're finding a relationship, all the girls want you, right? You hear that story?
I saw that.
Yeah. So basically, there's this guy on TikTok who's explaining to me why that maybe could be is because when you feel the love of a woman, okay, then you feel powerful, and you have the auras and
you
shit.
attract.
Then the people can sense it, like wow, he looks, because when you get that love and validation from someone more, then you get that it shows on your face and your demeanor, and you're like powerful and you can attract because you feel worth, But let's say when you're heartbroken and all, then you feel worthless, and then come to sad. So then let's say when you drink, it doesn't come back, that other feeling. And then when you're not drinking, moving around, the chin is down, the frame in the middle. But when you're like, okay, I got, then it's like, so it's very psychological, behavioral.
True. I think you attract what you are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What you're feeling. If you are very happy, then you attract happy people.
Yeah.
And all that. But if you're feeling sad and all that, you might attract the opposite of that. Yeah, but on top of that, it's not an example for if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, it's not good to be, it's not of attention. And then if you get a lot of attention, to not get carried away.
Yeah, but you can also, let's say if you're, let's say, single, and you've moved on with the heartbreak, you can think like, oh, now the world's my oyster, I'm happy, I have this, I have that. It's okay if I don't have this, but I have at least this and that more. Then you can use the energy positivism.
Yeah, and you can channel that energy to other things. Could be your career, your studies, your family, could be your health, fitness and all that. And I believe in that, relationships and all that. It's very important for a lot of us, but then at the same time, if you can also think that it's not something like that, your whole life centers around.
Like couple of, not like 1 year ago, I had one friend I knew was going through a lot of heartbreak, and he was dealing with it. First, he didn't drink, fortunately, but then he was getting a little hard, so the drinking I kind of helped him a bit, but then he got a little carried away. But initially, it was helping because it was making him forget about the problems. And then I was like, look at yourself. You have a lot of love to give. You have a lot of love to give, a lot of energy to put it out there. It's just that you didn't put it in the right person because they didn't want it. And it's okay if they didn't want it. They didn't want to give it back. But doesn't mean that now that you have the potential to give, you can put it anywhere else. So why don't you put it inward and work on yourself, or wait for the right person and then they'll give it back, or they can use it. But we don't tend to think those. We think, now I've given up. I've given everything. Now I have no capacity to give anymore.
Yeah, or become a musician or an artist and create these fine piece of art or music, and the world will thank you for it.
And then when this kind of situations happens, I always tell myself, also my other friends, invest in yourself, whether gym, because let's say you work out for a year because of heartbreak, all this bullshit. After the end of the year, opposed to, let's say, being with someone that you care about, but now it's over, that 1 year investment is gone. You'll never come back. But at least you have the memories and the good things, whatever more. But you'll not come back after that. Investment is now paid off, is gone. Whereas 1 year you go to the gym, the investment is there and you can reinvest further on.
True.
Right? Just invest in yourself. Because another thing I realized, maybe I could be a little cynical or a little skeptic, is relationships are high maintenance. Friendships are not. Even family is not even that high maintenance. Let's say you go to your mom, have lots of dinner with her, have a conversation with her, and let's say you don't see her in a month. Your relationship bond is still there, man.
Right? True.
You can still talk to her, she can still be nice, and you want something, you can buy her, right? If you're friends, I have one friend, I haven't seen him in 10 years, I can call him tomorrow, if he's back here, we'll hang out like nothing happened. Just after 6 months, update you,
but
what
it doesn't work with your partner.
But in the partner, high maintenance. You don't text back on time. Problem. You forget anniversary, problem. You didn't buy this chala and get here, problem. You didn't I don't like your tone, the way you said this and that. That's so high maintenance. So I say I wish relationships were low maintenance, but then again, I don't know, it doesn't work that way.
If it's low maintenance, then we'll take it for granted, just like how we take our families for granted, even friends for granted. And when these things actually fall apart, then it falls apart like nothing else.
But then friendships is today I meet you, we have a good time. Next week we don't. 3 weeks later we meet you, I need a help. Can you give me a ride? Okay. Relationships, every day I spend with you, we grow bond, it's great, amazing, fine more. What great bond more. When it's over, even if you're on the floor more, with begging for water more, double glass ya tamiji. So I say more, invest in your friendships and your family.
Yeah.
Relationships, some tip, then only you could realize where. Is it worth it?
True.
Investment payoff beonga.
True.
Because maybe right now, ha ha he he more, naba more. Naba you do something wrong more.
I almost agree. But
Almost agree.
agree. Yeah. Probably maybe I don't have a lot of relationship experience, so I'm not able to comment. Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, because I've been listening. It's not just personal experience. I've been listening to this podcast called Diary of a CEO, and he has a recurring guest called James Sexton. He's a divorce lawyer. So he's been through so many divorce proceedings. So he let me was like and I got a little knowledge from that. So and he says, no, like marriage is like in America, 60%, no, not 60, 50+% of divorce rate. And when we ask, let's say like, okay, let's say you're gonna get married, okay? They say more. Are you sure, Laujin? Are you okay? Did you think about all those plans? It's rude, remember that? How can you say this is the love of my life? How dare you say like, am I sure now? Of course, it's my love, I love. We can't say Lord. But if you're going to fly off, let's say, skydiving more, I say, Dechen, are you sure? Did you take the necessary steps, precaution? Are you okay, Laujin more? Then it makes sense, right? But skydiving has about like a 8% fatality rate. It's 8% or less that something will go wrong in birthday. Right. But we still like, where are you sure? Marriage has a 54% chance it could go wrong, you see. 54% chance it could go wrong, but we never ask.
In America, right?
Yeah, in America. But I think it's similar also. It can't be that different.
Could be higher.
It could be higher also, yeah. We never ask, are you sure about it? You're about to put your time, energy, body, money, everything into this. Yeah. Are you sure about it, see?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean,
is this the right person? So
I've never been married, and so hard to tell. But I think marriages do fail.
Are they?
But I've also looked at ways like how marriages, like divorce, is not necessarily a bad thing, because people, first of all, life still goes on after divorce, and oftentimes people don't become enemies. They still decide to be friends. If they have kids, they still co-parent and all that. And even in America, I've seen like how, obviously there are, people get married, they have families and all that, and later on they get divorced, but then they still, don't hold onto it a lot. Rather they think about what's next. Maybe for some people it becomes their career, their kids. Some people it's about finding new partners and new love and all that, and it goes on. And but whereas I feel like maybe in our part of the world where we sometimes how we we think that marriages are like a sacred institution and then we really have to respect, and then failure of that would mean something really bad. I think stops individuals from making the choice to get divorced, and that's the reason I feel like places in where divorce rate might be higher could be places where people have the liberty to choose divorce over staying in a bad relationship. Because I think it's in a lot of.
But that's what I'm saying. Before you get into that relationship, that's not habits of it. We analyze it everywhere.
Yeah, but if you think about it, a lot of marriages are in developing countries. Like people don't even have a choice. It's arranged marriage either, or it's marriages out of necessity. You might be dealing with a lot of poverty. Like I don't want to take names, but if I could just say maybe in some Islamic countries, and not all Islamic countries, this is a stereotype. There are a lot of progressive, liberal Islamic states as well, but the ones that are not, people have no choice. And quite often, because of culture and tradition and all that, the marriages will never fail. But it doesn't necessarily mean if someone had a happy life and all that, maybe not true and all that.
But this also goes around saying like there's another article I read. It was called the loneliness epidemic. No, right now,
there's something called
yeah,
male loneliness.
male loneliness epidemic. More specifically,
Yeah.
So I think like the data says like 30% of men in this generation have not had sex before the age of before the age of 30. Most men are alone and they seeking for validation, but they also now hate that they ask for it. So it's like a tough place. And women, like their standards are higher now.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them. Also, yeah, fine, good
You can't
standard.
blame them, yeah.
And then
We made society this way.
Yeah,
we told women to, we control
raise your
this,
standard. Yeah,
we control
raise
their
your standards.
sexuality.
Yeah.
We raised fingers on them when they, tried to live their life.
Yeah,
and now they're exactly acting on it.
Yeah,
They're choosing not to get married.
Yeah.
They're choosing not to have kids.
Yeah.
And suddenly we are like, oh my God,
Okay.
men are not having sex.
But anyway, like women standards are higher, so it's like like the woman, let's say she's like 7 and 8 out of 10. Okay, whatever you can put on what scale, and she'll only look for a 8, 9, 10 boostam chitang lo. Okay, so then the men who are from 1 to 6 have no chance,
Yeah.
and also the girls who are they are same level, let's say 5 and 6, are looking at the 7s and 8s. No. so the animal was like, this is a very like maybe a incel kind of statement. I watched a show called Adolescence. It says like 80% of women are only attracted to 20% of men. So the remaining 80% of men are lonely lower.
Yeah, I think, but also, that's one. It could be one thing. I have to read up more, but I think male loneliness also comes from several other factors, and some of them can be the fact that we were not taught to express our feelings. And not to reach out and seek community, and also not share things with our own mothers and our sisters and all that.
Then lack of self-esteem comes there. No.
Yeah, like a lot of the times, and that's why things such as male suicide rate is quite high, in the West, and all that, and that is something because you've been taught to be taught to man up all your life, taught to not be emotional, taught to be tough and all that, and now that's not helping anybody, and then men are becoming and also many of us in our culture we don't know how to reach and talk to a girl, right?
Yeah.
We would rather do something else than do that.
Yeah. But then there's also the fear of rejection and not being accepted. Fear of rejection, the not acceptance. Then it feeds to that self-esteem thing. No, here's how I look at it. Okay. Now then again, like I always say, it's my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. I think we all, as humans of Thimphu, just kidding, all humans, at least of Bhutan, we need to be comfortable being alone, Messi.
Yes.
You need to be very comfortable being alone, and that's not a bad thing also. Like I said, it's like what I mean is like in Buddhist term, we came to this world with family, yes, but when we die, we'll die alone. We will take all our detachments. Our attachments are gone. Like I said, invest in your relationship with your family and your friends, but also be like, it's okay. I'm also okay alone. But I think when you attach yourself, associate yourself with somebody, then you give them the power. Like now, if they leave, now I'm crushed. I cannot be alone. I don't want to be alone. I'm scared of being alone. It's so terrifying.
Yeah,
but if you like
abandonment issue.
like if you're like okay being alone, then if someone comes there and wants to enjoy your life together, great. But if they leave, also now what to do? No,
true.
It's okay. But then you cling on, then it gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
And I think we're not going to. I think at least happier I'm talking about it here, but I'm seeing it around, and I think if people can be happy being alone, but also can give relationships investment which will pay off, and also not attach too much, because at the end of the day it's the attachment that hurts. No? Detach now fully attached. Like even like right now I love my phone. It gives me social media time, trouble, but I also know like okay, if it's gone, what to do. I'll try my best to get it back, but if I don't get it back,
you accept.
It's okay. I'll just get another one. I'll pinch my penny, but now what to do? Now? I can. That's why I cannot change what has been done. But I can change how I respond.
True.
Yeah.
I think attachment, like so many of us, we're not very practical about attachment. Although our whole, the foundation of the religion, the Buddhism is all about that. And some of us, we are very like hardcore Buddhist, but we don't, really know how to apply this in our life.
Attachment.
Yeah. So like if you love someone, in a relationship with someone, and then it, doesn't work, you have a breakup, then what does it end your life? For some people, it becomes like the end of their life, right? But if you can really apply these principles and understand that this is all temporary, and at the end, like you said, you leave the world alone.
Yeah,
and if you can apply that and try to be happy and accept the truth, then would be better. Yeah.
Everything is an illusion. Last night, you got a calm job in meeting too.
Oh God.
No.
I haven't heard phrases like this since I was a kid.
I just made it up, man.
I think people say that.
Last night, June calm job in meeting anyway.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully, otherwise buried alive.
No, because it sounds very morbid, but I think that's what's happened in our culture.
And then it's like the clinging women are clinging, like I recognize in myself also, like sometimes like let's say something easy attachment. When I was growing up, I really loved playing games, and I asked my mom like every day, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 3. She was like, no, through me, no, whatever excuse. After like a year of me begging, I finally got it. And when I got it, for some reason, the electric tar wasn't there. And I literally cried. It lost. I felt like so close yet so far. I got what I wanted. Then the tar wasn't there. I couldn't play it. I was literally panicking. And I cried, and I had a whole breakdown. And then obviously as a kid, you don't really remember. But when I look back now, I'm like, my God, how much clinging I had. How much clinging I had onto this. Like, Mr. Man, it wasn't just like, I love games, I love this. Like, if I play this, I'll get to see this and then experience what the people out there are experiencing. I can tell my friends, they'll think I'm cool. I can invite my friends, we'll have a good time. They'll think, so much attachment just because of that. But if I just said, more. It's not even just simple of just letting it go into memory. All that other bullshit, also you let it go.
Yeah.
So don't cling too much, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to practice, but then we can try.
Yeah, but constantly remind yourself.
Remind yourself, yeah.
Just like I explained the phone last year, phone jaimo. And then I was trying to rationalize, explain myself, but still it hurts. Oh my God. But I know what to do.
Right now, it's a day and age where phones are really expensive, right? And maybe it wasn't the case like a few years ago. Of course, losing your phone always hurts because you carry a lot of memories there and all that. Right now, it's the economics. Most of us are heavily into iPhones and Samsung phones and all that. Losing it would be a real bummer. But at the same time, it's also about the attachment. The value we place there, and we think that that really is like a big extension of our personality or
ourself.
And a sense of self,
Okay, things are getting a little too deep. Let's take a tone down. Any last thing you want to talk about before we wrap up the pod?
Well, not really, but I didn't realize I was capable of chattering this much. I thought I would, be like I would get silent in a bit because usually that's what it is. But maybe this was a really good time to record. I was traveling for a while, and like I told you, I slept nonstop for 2 days before coming out of the house. And all that. Maybe that, all the sleeping, the energy from there helped with this. The last thing is that, Humans of Thimphu is something that has been really close to my heart, and also our team members who are everywhere. A big shout out to all of you, and also we want to keep going and do what we do, and hopefully this would create some sort of it will keep creating that sense of community and bring people together, and then evoke thoughts and reflections from others, and other things that we talked about. A few things I remember would be, drink alcohol but don't abuse it. Yeah, and moderation. Moderation is a word.
Moderation's key.
Yeah, don't be too clingy to your phone. The good thing would be to not lose it, but if you do lose it,
It's okay.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not the end of
Yeah.
phones.
It's not
in
in the
your
phones.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Dechen, thank you for coming. Before we end this podcast, I'll ask you usually my end of the pod questions. So, are you a fan of snacks? Do you snack a lot?
I have started to snack a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what about Lay's? What is your favorite Lay's packet color?
I think I don't have a favorite, but I have something that I don't like,
Okay, which is
which is the blue color.
blue Lay's. Oh, you don't like blue Lay's?
I think a lot of people say that they like blue.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
For me, I feel like blue should never be a color of a Lay's packet.
Why?
I don't know. It looks
Seems
like
off, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice color for a soap or a detergent,
Okay.
this and that. So it makes me feel like I'm eating something that's gonna taste like soap.
Okay, so what would you eat? Let's say in a shelf, you see only Lay's. Which one would you pick?
Orange.
Okay.
Because tomato, it feels orange like it's all about tomato. Maybe green because lemon and all that. And I'm actually not aware of other colors.
Okay.
What
Right.
about you?
I'm a yellow Lay's guy and orange Lay's.
Oh, there's yellow Lay's. I've never seen it.
Yellow's classic salted.
Oh,
classic.
just a salt.
Yeah, just classic. No other additional. And sometimes if I want a tangy one, is the orange one. Orange one is the tangy one. But then usually I'll try to go for the yellow one only. Okay. Let's say tomorrow you die. Okay.
Okay.
Tomorrow you
I hope
die.
Not, but okay.
Let's say hypothetically, not really. Okay. What would be your final meal today? And if you can't think about a specific meal, think about a thali. What is in the theme?
Tough question. Because I would want to eat everything twice.
Okay, nice.
But a nice thali, a vegetarian thali would be nice. Thali is so underrated, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like any thali is a good thali
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me. There's no bad thali.
So what theme? What theme you have? Aloo, paneer, what?
Fried
Kondotansi?
aloo, fried bhaji, some curd, something with jeera in it. Dal is very important in my life. Without
Eze? You want eze?
some eze.
What kind of eze is yours?
The Bhutanese.
Which one? The green chili or the emamap?
The emamap.
Okay.
Emamap.
Burn baby, yeah.
They burn it
Oh.
and then I don't know what they put in it. Maybe the other tomato, the big
Yeah,
one.
cherry tomato, yeah.
No, the big one.
The big
but-
one, yeah. It's sibe. Oh.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Oh God. I'm
And
thinking
what beverage would you have?
curd,
Okay.
maybe a beer,
Okay. Which one?
lager.
Lager and then bye bye world. See you next life.
Yeah.
Nice.
And bye. No regret.
Okay. Do you watch movies?
I do.
Okay, we're a movie podcast here too. We talk about movies, but you also said you read a lot of books. So, can you name me your top 4, at least, movies in top of your head, which you think people should check out? Or you like, which you're fond of?
I'm not a big fan of movies, honestly, but I just really started watching in
Okay.
the last few days. I can't remember, but I watch. I'm a big fan of Stranger Things.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not a movie. It's a
series.
Netflix
Okay.
series. And something that's similar to that is the It, the
Yeah.
Pennywise,
Oh.
Stephen King.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
okay.
They came up with a brand new
Yeah.
series.
Welcome to Derry.
Welcome to Derry.
Okay.
Yeah, was really nice. And I'm thinking about this last thing I watched, which I really liked. What was it? I think Edit and Party, but I wanted to really remember it because it was. I can't remember.
Okay. All right. Okay. 2 movies. How about 2 more books? What books would you say was one of the very memorable books you've read in your life?
Every book is a memorable book. I mean, memorable, because there's no such thing as a bad book,
Yeah.
except that maybe some books would be bad.
Mein Kampf. Same time.
Oh, which one?
Mein Kampf.
Which is?
Which is Hitler's autobiography.
Oh yeah, but I think okay.
Yeah,
I will not
now,
comment.
okay, whatever.
Yeah, but I read about a book, autobiography of this guy. His name was Malcolm X.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Malcolm X was this really misunderstood person who, in the beginning of his career, was part of a cult. And,
Oh, really?
This cult.
The Black Panthers.
I forgot the name of the cult,
sorry,
but I guess there was no name.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was not a cult, but it was a religion. And he really got into it, and then he fought racism, but a little too much and all that. But then later on, he realized that he also has to take middle path.
Okay. As you're saying.
Oh yeah, so a book that I read last year was the autobiography of Malcolm X, and for many of you who may not know, Malcolm X was a civil rights leader and who championed the cause of the African American community in the U.S. And he was pretty active and very popular alongside this. And at the same time as Martin Luther King. And but his approach was a little different, and he believed more. He was so there was a lot of segregation in the U.S., right, between the white American and African American. And while many civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King and his followers were advocating for integration, Malcolm X was not for that, and he was. In the beginning, very controversial for that very reason, and all that. But many people didn't know that at the later stage of his life, he completely changed his approach, and he became, more like into integration, and at the same time, how, what you can be of any race and still can, champion the cause of ending racism and all that. So that was a pretty good book for me, and I would recommend it to anyone who would love a story like that, especially of someone who is misunderstood in the history and all that. And another book I was very popular is it's called the Desperately Seeking Shah Rukh Khan.
What was that about?
So it's actually a book that is not exactly about Shah Rukh Khan, but Shah Rukh Khan is the writer is actually this really brilliant, economist, and she is, writing about economy and, but more so in the lens of gender and economics. Like, in many societies, men and women don't have the same ability to spend money, right? And that can also mean the same thing to be able to watch movies, right? And all that. And then the book really was on the subject of economics and gender disparity and class system and the caste system in India. And at the center of that, you would find the mention of Shah Rukh Khan and how all the characters in the movie had one single, superstar icon that they loved, and that was, the King Khan and all that. This was a really good book and quite an eye-opening one. And not a light read, obviously. So these two books I would recommend to any readers.
Okay, thank you. One story about finding Shah Rukh Khan, another one to ending racism. Beautiful. Okay, last thing we forgot about this a couple of episodes ago, but basically this is so we had a guest called Kutira Amchide. She's from Hawaii, and she made these oracle cards.
Wow.
So basically something like tarot mixed with Bhutanese kingachi shojun zumbe.
Wow.
So every card has the thing. So just ask the universe a question, touch it, and pick one card.
Do I have to say out loud the question, or?
No, it's up to you. If you want to ask the question, or you can be Chara, you can just ask yourself, and then. But you have to touch it, shuffle, pick one.
Oh, shuffle.
Yeah, shuffle it.
Wow, I love them. It's feels really high quality.
Yeah, it's well made. You can get it at DSP, by the way.
Oh.
And Lungta, I think. And Hemaditariana Foundation, I'm not sure.
What do you call that? Oracle cards?
Oracle cards. It's called the Dragon's Gift.
Wow.
The Dragon's Gift.
Yeah.
So yeah, ask the universe a question. Ask the dragon a question.
A question would be not something serious.
Yeah, tomorrow's New Year. Something about New Year. Why not?
Yeah. Will I ever?
New Year's losar.
Good question.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't have to be too deep.
I don't want to ask something that's political. I want to ask something that's gonna get any one of us here cancelled. And so, okay. And I'm not into pop culture. Oh God, it's getting tougher now. Do you have any question that I could think I could ask?
How will 2026 be?
Oh yeah, how would 2026 turn out?
Or more specifically, the year of the horse.
The year of the horse, with every one of us turn as fit as a horse.
Okay, yeah.
Healthy.
Okay, pick
So
a
this
card.
card?
Okay, no,
Or maybe
sure.
this, yeah.
Okay, what does it say?
Oh, I don't know.
What does it say?
It says
Rat.
Rat.
Wow, rat. Oh, that's a rare one.
Is it a good thing?
Let's find out. What number is it? It's in our top. There you go. 34. Okay, I put 34.
34.
Yeah. Kalichara,
So
you read it yourself. Yeah, rat. Start from here and here. Yeah.
So the dragon speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Open inverted comma. In the embrace of wrath, channel the fierce power of fire. Let its intensity burn through the veils of ignorance, and wield your strength with compassion to bring forth healing and enlightenment. Oh, that's nice. Do I have to read the second thing?
Yeah, I can read the second thing also.
Wrath represents a powerful, deep compassion aiming to safeguard beings from suffering and ignorance. A forceful approach is sometimes necessary to break through delusion and unawareness, like a stern but loving parent guiding a child. This card also promotes personal growth by encouraging you to use your inner strength wisely for true healing and awareness. Wow.
Yeah.
I think
Do you
it has
think-
a lot to do with what we were discussing today.
Okay. But do you think you connected with yourself with your question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I love wrath.
Yeah. All right, Dechen, thank you for coming so much. Last night, other than the hot water which we offered, the last thing usually I use it for the guests to promote anything they want. So, example, please check out my new book, or please check out my new song. Follow me on Instagram. Anything you want to do, floor is yours.
Nothing really, but if you can, do try to follow Humans of Thimphu on social medias. We are on Instagram and Facebook. And do spend like maybe a minute or two reading the stories that we come up with, because we work really hard, and also it is always with a purpose, and to change mindsets and bring positive outcomes and impacts. So yeah,
All right.
follow and read.
Sure. All the links will be in the description. Please check it out. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched till the end, please consider subscribing. Shout out to the PODHEADS. Thank you so much. And our PODHEAD Pro Pema Group 639, Rapsel Hendrup, and your former admin of Humans of Thimphu, Tandipups. We appreciate the support. Lasso, thank you so much. Yeah, with that being said, until the next episode, yeah. Bye-bye. So one clap, okay? Just one single clap. Just one. 1, 2, 3. Bye.